Peace. We back with another episode of Politics and Black Families. I'm here with Gabriel Sanchez. You just won your district, right? House District 42?
Yep.
Let's talk about it, brother.
Yeah. I won the primary, so I went against the Democratic incumbent.
Yeah.
And so I'm the new Democratic nominee for State House District 42. I do still have an election in November.
Okay.
But, we won the big election in May, so.
Perfect. Congratulations. Now, we got an interesting story, right?
Yeah.
Because people don't know, but I met Gabriel years ago on a movie set. I was working on The Resident, and I think you were you in the film department? Were you in the camera department?
I was AD department.
AD department, right.
Yeah.
And I was working in wardrobe, and he told me, he said, I think I'm going to run for office. This was maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. I said, what you going to do at office? What you going to do in office? He said, I think I can change things. So I'm glad to see that you decided to do what you had to do, and it's good to have you here.
Yeah, no, thank you. I mean, actually, you're one of the reasons why I really felt like I really needed to shift careers because, for me, I'd always growing up wanted to be a filmmaker, right?
Yeah.
Went to school for film. Right after graduating college, went into The Resident, worked there, met you and met a lot of great people there. And then I just realized that, I feel like I'm not in the right place.
Yeah, yeah.
And the funny thing to me was, every single time we were in between takes, we'd be talking about politics. I'm like, what am I doing in film?
Yeah, exactly.
I got to go out there because there's change that needs to be done, and we need to help people in the community. And, film is obviously a great way to do that in certain ways as well.
Yeah.
But I felt like I needed to be more directly in there with the community and helping people out.
That's great. So, but let the viewers know a little bit about your story, your family story,
Yeah.
and how you arrived in Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a son of Colombian immigrants, born and raised here in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
I was raised in Cobb and Cherokee County.
Mm-hmm.
I growing up was always someone, I have a huge family, so we have over 80 relatives that live in the metro Atlanta area.
Did you say 80?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not all in one house,
big
right?
family. No. Oh, my God. That'd be crazy. But, yeah, so big family, always a great time at the family get-togethers. And so I was raised in a big community. So the community's always been a very big part of my life. And then when the recession hit in 2008, it, devastated my family. We almost moved back to Colombia, but we ended up going to Miami instead. And so, that really, really hit our family hard and made me realize, how much the system works against us, against regular working people. We do everything right.
Yeah.
You do what you're supposed to do, and you still get screwed over, right? And so I learned a lot through that, and I lived there for 3 years. And one of the things, and I was just talking about this before coming on, is that one of my classmates in high school, when I was in Miami, was actually Trayvon Martin.
Yeah.
And when he was murdered, that was a big wake-up call for everyone in our community about, the systemic racism we're still facing to this day in this country. And so, for me personally, that was a really big moment in my life of someone in my community who, unfortunately, I didn't know personally, but someone who was friends with people who I was friends with that, a mother lost her son, friends lost their friend.
Yeah.
Because of...
And we're still dealing with it today, right?
Exactly.
It's a lot going on today that, we got to continue to advocate and keep being hopeful and give folks like you a chance to, get in there and change it. Right. I do want to move it ahead a little bit and ask you a question, right? Because affordable housing is a big thing, and with 80 family members, I see why.
Yeah.
Right? So let's talk to me a little bit about your strategy on affordable housing, how you're going to approach it.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the biggest things that we're seeing right now is we're seeing a shortage of supply of housing. But what people aren't talking about is the fact that we have these huge corporations coming in and buying up all these properties, jacking up the prices, and making it unaffordable for working families. Yeah. Just in Atlanta alone, there are over 19,000 homes owned by 3 companies.
Yeah, I've seen that.
We have the most inflated housing market, and we just had the FBI raid one of the Cortland management over down here in Atlanta because they're price fixing.
Yeah. So when we talk about this, who do we hold accountable for that?
So that's what I'm saying. Yeah. We have to introduce legislation to make it so that these huge corporations can't come in and buy up all these lots. We got to regulate that. We got to put a limit on it.
Yeah.
To me, the people who should own a home is families. That's who should be owning homes, not these huge multi-million-dollar corporations and these private equity firms.
Yeah. I want to touch on another thing with affordable housing, gentrification, right? Yeah. How do you approach gentrification? I live on the west side. I live in between Westview and the West End, right? And I've been over there for about 11, 12 years. So I've seen the neighborhood change, right? And I'm not anti-gentrification. I think, we ask for capital to come. We ask for people to buy homes and it improves things. But it's also getting out of hand.
Oh, yeah,
right?
100%.
So, like, how should a first-time home buyer or somebody from the black family in the black community look at gentrification?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the biggest problems we have is that we want our communities to get better and improve, especially our most exploited and impoverished communities. But the benefits that the development has to come for the people who live in the community, Yeah. And that's the biggest problem we have is that when new development comes in, it kicks out the community and brings in a new one. Yeah. And so everyone else from the outside is like, oh, it's so much nicer now, without realizing it that all the people who used to live there don't live there anymore. Yeah. And now they're in another place, and now it's another impoverished community, and they're just being moved around.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so we have to make sure that when we do development and we improve our communities, we're doing it for the people who live there. Yeah. And we implement policies like, rent control, or making sure that when we invest in new housing, that there's certain sections of truly affordable housing so that people can stay in their communities.
Yeah. So do you think it's possible in a Republican-controlled state house for your legislation to get signed? Like, do you think that's possible?
I mean, I never say never, but I obviously understand it's a huge, huge uphill battle, and, it's going to take a lot of work. But this is one of the things that the reason I ran is because I'm an organizer by trade. Once I left the film industry, I worked in a lot of different spaces in the community to organize the community. Yeah. And that's what I'm going to be as a representative, engaging people into their local politics to put the pressure on our politicians to do the right thing.
Yeah, indeed. And you're very active on TikTok. That's how I was laying in the bed one night, and I told my wife, I said, you remember the guy from The Resident? She was like, I said, look at him. You was on TikTok. I seen people commenting, and you were going back and forth.
I didn't expect it to blow up. Blow up. It's crazy.
I see you like a little influencer on TikTok. You got to give me some points.
A little bit.
Yeah. So I see you advocating a lot for like public transit, right?
Yes.
And fixing public transit. And what's going on with it? Like, I know we deal with the MARTA here, and I ride it sometimes occasionally if I'm going to the airport. I can't really say I do it a lot. And I had to ask myself, like, do I not ride the MARTA because it's kind of broken or because I'm always in my car? Right. But what's your ideas on it?
Well, this is the thing, right? A lot of people do this on purpose where they underfund certain services. That way they can say, look, the service doesn't work, so we shouldn't do it. And then they privatize it so they can make money off of it. Yeah. That's the playbook, right? Yeah. And so they underfund MARTA. The state of Georgia doesn't fund MARTA like at all, basically, right? And so everything has to come from the city of Atlanta, Fulton County, and DeKalb, which is not enough money. Yeah. So you end up with this underserved service that doesn't provide people what they need. And then, of course, people are going to stop wanting to use it and not want to invest in it. And that's the problem. In order for it to get much better, we have to invest in it. The reason I talk about it so much is because in Cobb County, we have a public transit referendum on the ballot this November to expand public transit in Cobb County, and we desperately need it for working families in Cobb County. That's why I'm a huge supporter of it.
Yeah, I got you. So I guess, Ariel, we're going to see you on the MARTA more, right? I'm always messing with Ariel. Hey, quick question. Another thing I read on your website, and I was like, okay, healthcare. This is something me and my wife talk about all the time.
Yeah.
I'm going to fix the profit-driven space in healthcare.
Yeah.
How do we do that? And what should black families know about healthcare? Because I'm so confused. I took my son to a dentist appointment. They said, you're out of network. So how am I out of network? Right now, we still have union insurance, so you know how that goes, right? So I'm like, but I was in network last time, but we're not in network anymore. And you also owe us $450. And I'm like, how do I owe you $450? Yeah. I said, what does my insurance cover, right? So I'm kind of confused, right? So educate me on this, please, a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the profit motive that we see in the healthcare industry, they purposely hide prices. They purposely make it so that you change in and out of network all the time. That way, it makes it essentially impossible for people to be able to, get the healthcare they need in an efficient way, right? Yeah. And the whole reason behind that is so they can make money. Because that's the whole point. That's why we have to make sure we have universal free healthcare that is free at the point of service. Yeah. And that's why I support Medicare for all. Now, in the state of Georgia, we got to start with expanding Medicaid first, because we haven't even done that, which is just a basic
Why not?
Well, because, Republicans don't want to say that we agree with Obama on anything. So they'd rather not expand Medicaid, because then that would make it seem like they agree with Obama. That's the only reason. It's politics. They play in politics. It costs less money to do it, and it covers way more people, and yet they still don't do it just because of politics.
But I thought Trump was kind of, I guess Kemp was kind of splitting from the Trump alliance. Is that true? I thought it was like they were doing, he was playing the moderate role.
The only thing that Kemp is splitting from Trump is not looking like a mean guy. Everything else, all the policies, is exactly the same thing. When you actually look at his record, it's the same thing. It's just he's not mean about it, I guess, or he's more polite about it, I guess.
Yeah.
But that's what people don't realize, you know?
Yeah.
And so, look, I mean, I'm glad that, you know, he didn't overturn the election. I guess that's good, but that should be a bare minimum. Like, I don't think we should be congratulating people for that.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I think that he tried to create his own healthcare plan that, you know, has enrolled so little people. It is so pathetic that even his own Republicans were starting to consider expanding Medicaid because of how much of a failure his plan is.
Oh, gotcha. I got you. I'm hearing rumors that Kemp may run for office.
Yep.
They say he may take the presidential seat. He's trying to run.
Look, I don't know too much about what he's gonna do. You know, I've heard he might run for Senate. I might heard he might run for president. You know, but at the end of the day, my jobs stay the same. I'm gonna organize my community to fight for progressive change and making sure that Georgia is gonna be a place that fights for working families, not for just the people at the top. So.
Indeed. I received that message. Now, there's a few more things I want to touch on, and we're gonna let you go. And I want you to look in that camera and let them know why they should vote for you come November 5th.
Yeah.
Something on your website that I looked at was helping everybody get a driver's license.
Yep.
Talk to me a little bit about that.
So for those who aren't aware, undocumented immigrants in Georgia are not legally allowed to have a driver's license. Now, you tell me, if we just talk about public transit, how the hell are they supposed to go to get a job?
Yeah.
You know, they got to pay a taxi or Uber every single day just to get to work when they're already living paycheck to paycheck, you know? And then if they are caught driving, then they get deported, right?
Yeah.
My family at one point had to have, you know, they could not have driver's licenses. My parents, because
what about the people that say that's bold here in Georgia? That's a bold move. What do you say back to that?
Bold. I mean, I don't know what you're doing if you're not trying to fight for bold change. If you're an elected official, you know, like what are you in this business for?
Yeah,
you know, that's what I'm here to change things. Indeed. So I'm going to make it happen. Just like people didn't think I was going to win in the primary. Yeah. You know, be careful underestimating what the power of a movement can do.
Receive. So let me ask you this question. Come Thanksgiving, what are you bringing to Thanksgiving if I invite you to my house? Mac, greens.
Hey, man. Well, I'm Colombian, so, you know, we got to bring some, you know, empanadas, arepas, you know, some chicharrón in there, you know.
Yeah.
Ooh, you know what you need? You need some sancocho.
Oh, what's that?
It's a soup. It's like a chicken-based soup.
Yeah.
You know, it's got some potatoes, some yuca in there, you know, and and chicken, of course. It's surprising. It doesn't sound like anything. Yeah. It's surprisingly really good. Okay. I highly recommend. I'll bring some.
Could you leave that recipe with my wife? We're going to work that out right there. And then we see how that go. All right, so, Pete, I want you to look in that camera and let them know where they should vote for you November 5th.
Yeah, so I'm Gabriel Sanchez running in State House District 42, which includes Smyrna, Cumberland, and Dobbins Air Force Base area. You can follow me at Sanchez4, Georgia, or go to my website, Sanchez4Georgia.com, to learn how to donate or volunteer today to build this movement for working people. Let's fight for housing, healthcare, and an economy that works for all of us.
And that's it, guys. Another episode, Politics and Black Families. Peace. Check this out.